When my wife told me, "I'm moving back in with my ex-wife to take care of her, you'll understand one day," I smiled and said, "Of course." I even packed her bags and drove him there. What I quietly slipped into his mailbox had him back home, empty-handed, in less than 48 hours. "I'm moving back in with my ex-husband to take care of him. You'll understand one day." My wife Sarah said it over breakfast on Saturday morning, April 13th, 2024, while I was eating scrambled eggs at our kitchen table in the house we'd bought together 3 years ago in Naperville, Illinois. She said it the way someone announces they're running to Target for paper towels, casual, matter-of-fact, like she was discussing the weather instead of dismantling our marriage. "He's sick. Stage 3 cancer, pancreatic. He needs me." I set down my coffee mug slowly, carefully, the ceramic making a soft sound against the wooden table. "Okay," Sarah blinked, her fork pausing halfway to her mouth. "Okay, if that's what you need to do." I took another bite of eggs. They tasted like nothing. She looked relieved, almost guilty. "I knew you'd understand. You're always so understanding. That's one of the things I love about you." Her ex-husband, Mark Daniels. They'd been married for 7 years before me. High school sweethearts who'd gotten married too young and divorced when Sarah was 29. She'd met me 2 years later at a friend's wedding. We'd been married for 3 years, together for 5. I'd thought we were solid. "How long?" I asked, reaching for my coffee. "However long he needs. Could be months, could be." She looked away. "They're not sure. The prognosis isn't good." "What about us? About our marriage? We'll figure it out. I just need to do this. He doesn't have anyone else. His family's all gone. I can't just let him die alone." She reached across the table, put her hand on mine. "You understand, right? It's the compassionate thing to do." I looked at her hand, at her wedding ring, the one I'd picked out, the one that had cost me 2 months' salary. "I understand. Thank you." She squeezed my hand. "I knew you would. Some men would make this so difficult. But you're different. You're good." I nodded, finished my eggs. "Let me help you pack." That afternoon, I loaded her car, a white Honda CR-V 2021 model, still had that new car smell. Clothes on hangers, carefully arranged so they wouldn't wrinkle. Toiletries in a cosmetics bag, her favorite pillow, the memory foam one she'd special ordered because she couldn't sleep on anything else. Shoes, books, her laptop, her favorite coffee mug with the little cat on it. She kept apologizing while I worked, standing in our bedroom doorway watching me fold her sweaters. "I'm not leaving you. This isn't about us. I just need to be there for him. He was my husband for 7 years. That means something." "I know," I said, placing a stack of t-shirts into her suitcase. "It's just temporary. Until he doesn't need me anymore. I understand. You're being so amazing about this." I zipped the suitcase closed. "That's what you do for the people you love." I drove her to Mark's house, 43 minutes across town to Oak Brook, to a neighborhood with bigger houses and older trees than ours. Mark's place was a 2-story colonial with white shutters and a manicured lawn, the kind of house that said success, stability, permanence. Mark answered the door wearing jeans and a button-down shirt, no hospital gown, no visible signs of illness. He looked healthy, better than healthy actually. Tan, fit, the kind of glow people get when they've been working out and eating right. He also looked smug. "Thanks for being so understanding about this, man," he said, shaking my hand with a grip that was firm, confident, nothing like someone in the late stages of cancer. "Really means a lot that Sarah has your support." I smiled, met his eyes. "Of course, family comes first, right?" "Exactly." He held my gaze a beat too long, a challenge in his expression that Sarah didn't see because she was already heading inside with the first load of bags. I helped carry everything in, 3 trips from the car. Mark's house was nice inside. Hardwood floors, granite countertops, photos on the walls of him and Sarah from their marriage, vacations, holidays, their wedding day. He hadn't taken any of them down. The guest room was at the end of the upstairs hallway. I set Sarah's suitcase inside and noticed immediately dust on the furniture, thick layer on the dresser, the nightstand, the lamp. The bed was made, but the comforter looked undisturbed, like no one had slept in it for months. Sarah would be sleeping in Mark's room. I knew it. She knew it. Mark definitely knew it. "Call me if you need anything," I said at the front door. Sarah standing between me and Mark, her hand on the doorframe like she was already part of this house, this life without me. She hugged me, tears in her eyes. "I love you so much. Thank you for understanding." "I know." I kissed her forehead. "Take care." On my way out, walking to my car parked at the curb, I stopped at the mailbox, casual, like I was checking if it was empty. Slipped in an envelope, plain white, no return address, Mark's name printed on the front in generic Times New Roman font. Then I drove home. 46 hours later, Monday afternoon at 3:17 p.m., Sarah called. I was at work, sitting in my office at the consulting firm where I'd been employed for 6 years, reviewing a client proposal that needed to be finished by end of day. "We need to talk. I'm coming home. Right now." She arrived an hour later. I heard her car in the driveway, heard the front door slam hard enough to rattle the frame. She threw her bags down in the entryway, the same bags I'd carefully packed 2 days ago, and stormed into the living room where I was sitting on the couch with my laptop. "Did you know?" Her face was red, blotchy from crying, eyes puffy, makeup smeared. I looked up from my screen. "Know what? That Mark isn't sick, that this whole thing was a lie, that he's completely healthy." easy, was it? I turned back to my laptop, clicked to the next slide in the presentation. He admitted it. She was pacing now, hands gesturing wildly. He admitted everything. He wanted me back. Thought if I came over to take care of him, we'd reconnect. That I'd remember what we had. That I'd realize I married the wrong person. I closed my laptop, set it aside. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? That's all you have to say? She stopped pacing, stared at me. He lied about having cancer. He manipulated me into moving back into his house. How'd you find out? She threw her hands up. Someone sent his medical records to the house. To Mark's house. Real ones. From his checkup 2 weeks ago. Complete physical. Blood work. Scans. Everything. He's completely healthy. Not even a cold. The envelope was in the mailbox this morning. Mark opened it while I was making coffee and his face he went white. I asked what was wrong and he tried to hide it, but I grabbed it and she broke off, breathing hard. I nodded slowly. Interesting. That's it? Interesting? Her voice was rising. Don't you care that he manipulated me, that he lied about dying? I care that you left. Sarah's face shifted, confusion replacing anger. What? You told me you were moving in with your ex-husband to take care of him, indefinitely, because he was dying. You didn't verify that. You didn't ask for medical records, didn't talk to his doctors, didn't get a second opinion. You just went. He told me he had stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Why would anyone lie about that? I don't know, but you believed him without question. Packed your favorite pillow, the one you can't sleep without. Moved your clothes, your books, moved into his house. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water. The guest room had dust on everything. On the dresser, the nightstand. No one had been in there for months. Sarah went very still. I wasn't planning to. What was it like, Sarah? Where were you planning to sleep? She didn't answer. Looked at the floor. I drank my water, set the glass down carefully. That's what I thought. You're twisting this, making it sound like I was leaving you for him. I was trying to help someone who was dying. Were you? I walked to my desk in the corner of the living room, the one I'd set up to work from home during COVID and never dismantled. Opened the top drawer, pulled out a manila folder, handed it to her. She took it with shaking hands. What is this? Mark's medical records. The real ones. Complete physical from 2 weeks ago. Blood work. CT scans. Chest x-ray. All clean. Sarah opened the folder, stared at the pages, at Mark's name at the top, at the doctor's notes. Patient presence in excellent health. No complaints. All systems normal. Follow-up in 1 year. When did you? I'm friends with someone who works at Mark's doctor's office. Emily Chen. We went to college together. Called in a favor. When? Saturday. About 3 hours after you told me you were leaving. Her hands were shaking so badly the papers rustled. You knew he was lying? I suspected. Confirmed it within 3 hours of you telling me. Called Emily. She pulled his records. Sent me copies that same day. And you didn't tell me? Her voice went high, incredulous. You knew it was a lie and you didn't say anything? No. Why not? Why would you let me? Because I wanted to see what you'd choose. The room went very quiet. Outside, a car drove by. A dog barked. Normal sounds from a normal day. I chose to help someone who was dying. You chose to move in with your ex-husband without asking a single question, without verification, without even thinking about what that meant for our marriage. I sat back down on the couch. You chose to pack your favorite pillow and move into his bedroom. The guest room hadn't been used in months. Dust everywhere. You were planning to sleep in his bed. That's not fair. What's not fair? I said, my voice still calm, still level, is that when you thought someone needed you more than I did, you didn't hesitate, didn't ask questions, didn't involve me in the decision, just packed your bags and left. I made a mistake. She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. I see that. I'm sorry, but I came back. You came back because you found out he lied. If he'd been smarter about it, if he hadn't left his mailbox accessible, you'd still be there. She went very still. Wait, his mailbox, the envelope. She looked at me, eyes widening. That was you. Who else would it be? I thought someone at the hospital, a nurse maybe, who felt bad. Nobody at the hospital cares about Mark's love life, but I cared about mine. She sat down hard on the arm of the chair, like her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. You sent his medical records to expose him, to give you the truth, since he wasn't going to. You let me go. You helped me pack. You drove me there. You smiled and said you understood. Her voice was rising again. You let me walk into that house thinking what? That you were being noble, compassionate, self-sacrificing? I leaned forward. You were moving back in with your ex-husband. You chose him over me, that's the truth. And I wanted to see if you'd figure it out on your own, or if you needed help. So what now? She stood up, wiped her face. You're leaving me? Is that what this is? I opened my laptop again, pulled up a document, turned the screen to face her. Divorce papers, filled out. My signature at the bottom. I filed this morning. You'll be served tomorrow. Her face drained of color. You're serious? Completely. Because of 2 days? Because I made one mistake? Because when you thought someone needed you more than I did, you didn't hesitate. You didn't question it. You just left. I closed the laptop. And because if you'd been willing to move into Mark's house, into his bedroom, for however long he needs, then our marriage was already over. I just made it official. I came back! She was shouting now. I left him. I chose you. You came back because you got caught. Because I sent those records. If you'd never found out, how long would you have stayed? A week? A month? Until you and Mark reconnected? She opened her mouth, closed it. No answer. That's what I thought. I stood up. You have 30 days to find a place. The house is in my name. Bought it before we got married. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Maybe Mark still has room. The guest room could use some dusting. She stared at me like she'd never seen me before, like the man standing in front of her was a stranger wearing her husband's face. Good. I'd spent 3 years being understanding, being patient, being the nice guy who never complained when she worked late, when she canceled plans, when she kept photos of her ex-husband on her phone for the memories, being the guy who packed her bags and drove her to another man's house with a smile because that's what good husbands do. They understand. But understanding has limits, and mine had just run out. Sarah grabbed her bags, didn't say another word, walked out the front door and got in her car and drove away, and I stood at the window watching her taillights disappear down the street. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily Chen. Did it work? I typed back, perfectly, thanks for the favor. Anytime. Coffee soon? Definitely. I set my phone down, looked around the house, my house now. Quiet, empty. Exactly how I'd left it before Sarah. Before I'd let someone convince me that being understanding meant being a doormat. The divorce would be final in 90 days. Sarah would sign or contest, but either way, it was over. And somewhere across town, Mark was probably realizing that his plan to win back his ex-wife had backfired spectacularly, all because of a plain white envelope in his mailbox containing the truth he'd tried so hard to hide. I smiled, poured another glass of water, sat back down at my laptop, had work to finish, a presentation to complete, a life to rebuild, and this time I'd do it on my own terms,